What's up? It's Ray from Infinity Personal Training. Just back with another video continuing the metabolism discussion here. So by this point, everyone should kind of know from the last couple of videos that we shouldn't be looking at our metabolism as a calculator or some static thing and just trying to calculate calories in, calories out, because again, the body's adaptive and reactive to everything we're doing. All right, so the next topic that we need to go into so everyone understands this is something called metabolic multitasking. All that means is trying to gain muscle and lose fat at the same time, because that's essentially what we're trying to do. If you're trying to get lean and get that, I guess, athletic look, that's essentially what we're trying to do, right? So everyone's trying to build muscle and burn fat, but the thing is, the body does not do both well at the same time. But there is a way around it, right? But what we need to understand is there is no one-size-fits-all approach. So if somebody tells you, oh yeah, you know, follow this plan, it's worked for this person or it's worked for me, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you, because again, we have adaptation and reaction based on hormones and life stressors, right? You got lifestyle factors, beginners, right? Beginners always put on muscle and lean mass and drop body fat faster. But it all depends upon what's realistic for you to long term. All right, so let's jump into this. So this right here, so here's what I want you to think about. Think about these arrows here as like a scale or a continuum going from left to right. All right, so on the left side, we have obese or fat, right? Then we have the next level up would be skinny fat, right? And then somebody who's just skinny, right? But they really don't have an athletic look. They're just kind of thin, right? This is where you see most of the people that do just all cardio type approaches, they wind up being skinny because, again, they lose muscle mass from not doing any resistance training, right? So the point here is, or what I'm trying to get at here is, everyone kind of wants this right here in the middle, right? Everyone wants to be lean and look athletic and fit, right? Almost like a sprinter, not for females, you know, not too bulky, not too ripped, but definitely toned, right? That's in the middle here. But what do we see a lot of people do? A lot of people either take this approach, right? They just do all cardio, or some trainers and some people would just take this approach, right? We just go, you know, just try and build muscle, right? Just be muscular and do all weight training. All right, and then on the other side of the spectrum would be muscle fat, right? So think like sumo wrestler, right? So just somebody that's has muscle, but they're also a little obese, or they have fat on top of the muscle, but they're really strong, right? So this would be, so on this scale here, think about it like this. So on the left side here, starting at the fat, this would be just no exercise, right? So less exercise and just eating like crazy. Over here would be just lifting weights and eating whatever you want. In the middle, again, this is what I'm assuming everyone wants to just be fit, right? So that would be the right mix. So we have to take an approach that's the right mix of exercising and eating for the individual, again, based on everything. Lifestyle factors, whether you're a beginner or not, what's realistic for you long term, you know, stress levels, sleep, all that stuff comes into play. Right? It's not about hating cardio or hating weight training, right? Everything has its place, but most of the problems stem from lifestyle and eating habits, right? But the main thing I want to hit on is, or what I'm trying to say here is, we shouldn't say like, oh, you just need to do more cardio or you just need to lift weights, right? Everyone's going to be biased towards certain things, and they're going to respond to different things. All right, so in the last video, we ended with, you know, I said, how do you overcome, you know, metabolic adaptation? All right, so before we jump into that, this is a good way, and again, this is from Dr. J. Tita. This is his approach on teaching, you know, how to avoid what's called metabolic compensation, where your metabolism slows down, right? So there's 4 different categories or 4 ways to look at eating and exercise, and these are just rough guidelines. They're not rules. So think macro level, not, you know, too detailed here. But the first one is eat more and exercise less. Okay, so what does that look like? That would be the typical standard American diet, you know, just eating junk food, Doritos, donuts, burgers, right? So minimal exercise, but you're eating a lot. All right, you're gonna gain some muscle, right? Because it says exercise less. Doesn't say exercise, don't exercise at all, right? But you also gain fat when taking that approach. All right. The second one, actually, let's skip down to the fourth one here. So the fourth one is eat less and exercise more. All right. So this is flipped now. So now we're eating less and we're gonna exercise a lot. This causes fat and muscle loss. Okay, this is probably the one that everyone tries to do, that's trying to lose weight, and it's the one that sadly most fitness people or trainers, whatever, coaches try and approach people with as well for weight loss and long-term maintenance, but it just doesn't work, right? So this is your typical working out like crazy and then eating, salads all day, or skipping breakfast, having a salad for lunch and a salad for dinner, right? Or people that just like to run constantly, and starve themselves. This also is the wrong approach, right? Because again, yeah, you lose some body fat up front, but you're also going to lose muscle, right? Which is not what we want, because we want to retain lean muscle mass to boost metabolism. All right. The third one here, eat less, exercise less. Okay, so this leads to fat loss. All right, this is your, I guess, like Paris or European type lifestyle. I don't know if anybody's been there, but in Europe they tend to be slower paced. They take full lunches, they eat mindfully. They also walk around a lot. They're not all into like the lifting weights and exercising 5, 6, 7 days a week and all the running and all the stuff that we see in the United States. What you need to take note of is a lot of their exercise, or if you were taking this approach, a lot of the exercise is going to affect your NEAT, which we just talked about in the last video, right? So that's non-exercise associated thermogenesis. So that's just walking around, right? So they're boosting that part of metabolism, which is a bigger part than just exercise. That's associated with metabolic rate. If you're missing what I'm saying, you would need to watch the last video there. But this is just working out, maybe just 1 to 3 times a week you're working out hard, slower paced exercise, so a lot of walking, and there's more relaxation involved. All right, but the key here is you would be eating less and exercising less because you're not going to the gym as much. All right, then we have the second one here. They eat more, exercise more. All right, so this would be muscle gain. All right, so we have fat loss here, and we have muscle gain there. Those are the two that we want, right? This would be the eat more, exercise more approach would be, this is the guy that everyone looks at and is like, oh, I want that body, right? This is the athlete. This is what they do, right? So that's what you would need to do to gain muscle. So the question becomes, which one of these or which of these 4 approaches will cause less metabolic compensation? What I mean by that is which one or which approaches are going to cause you to stall less. Okay, the answer is number 2 and 3. But again, most people try and do this. All right, or if somebody's overweight and they're eating out of control, 1 is out there as well. But everyone is trying to eat less and exercise more and try and out-exercise either a bad diet or a starvation diet, right? So they're cycling between 1 and 4. But what the approaches we need to take, or the 2 that do not cause metabolic compensation as much if you cycle them, are eat more, exercise more, and eat less, exercise less. All right, so that doesn't mean that these 2 won't ever cause metabolic compensation. Some people are just going to be genetically gifted, and the truth of the matter is some people can live in this third rule here, and just be better off long term there. Some people are going to want to, just by the nature of their personality, work out a lot more, so they're going to need to eat more. But the main thing we need to understand is we need to stop the eat less, exercise more approach. All right, but some people could also stay longer in one category versus the other, just due to genetics, right? So again, if somebody's really, let's say somebody's really high stress or kind of a wired nervous system individual, they're probably going to do better in a eat more, exercise more, because the exercise more approach is going to reduce stress, right? But if they don't eat enough, then we're going to wind up in this scenario down here, number 4, where you actually start losing muscle and metabolism stalls. All right, so the key thing here, all right, there is no, like, this is the answer for everyone approach, all right? But the big thing we need to understand is the last thing you should do is the exact same thing 24/7, because your body is always adapting and changing, right? So why would you try and do the same exact thing every single day if you're working with a system that's always changing? It doesn't make any sense, right? So the way to avoid metabolic slowdown is to cycle, okay? And I'm going to go through a quick example here that Jade has used as well in his videos. So think of a busy business executive. So what does that look like? Well, this guy, maybe he's, he travels like crazy during the week, works a lot of long hours, and when he's traveling, he just doesn't have access to the gym, right? So what would be a cycling approach? Okay, so think simple. So when he's traveling like crazy, he's going to take a eat less, exercise less approach, right? So maybe he just walks 1 or 2 days when he's traveling, but he's definitely decreased his calories those days, okay? Not the opposite. A lot of times people get stressed out and they're not exercising, and they wind up eating more because they're eating the wrong foods. That's a whole other topic, and I'll expand on that later. But when he's home and has access to the gym, then he's going to take a eat more, exercise more approach. So maybe he's home on the weekend and he's got a gym membership, so he's going to hit the gym 2 days on the weekend, but he's also going to increase his calories. So what are we doing here? Basically, when he's traveling, he's moderating his eating and exercise, right? So we're working on fat loss without stressing ourselves out. And then when he's home and has access to the gym, we're working on gaining muscle. So we have a balance long-term of gaining muscle, losing fat, gaining muscle, losing fat, or even just maintaining muscle, right? But what he's not doing is cutting calories on the weekends, or maybe binging on the weekend but not working out, right? Notice I said on the weekend he's going to eat more, but he's also going to exercise more. During the week he's going to eat less, but he's going to exercise less. So I hope that's making sense. So let's say the other thing, right? So let's say this is just normal during the year, right? Holidays roll around, and he's just chilling out. What does he do? All right, so maybe he actually goes into a eat more, exercise less approach, which is this one here, number 4, right? The thing is, for somebody that's fit, that actually has a balancing effect, because if you've been cycling between these two, it kind of becomes like you're doing the same thing long term, right? So it's actually okay to go out, and this is where cheat meals come in, or just kind of maybe taking off from the gym for like a week or 2 just to have like a reset, right? But here's the thing, this only works if you're fit and you've been consistent, right? So if you've been consistent with cycling the other ones and your metabolism's fine, you will see a boost from this most of the time, because a lot of people tend to undereat anyway. But again, it's only if you were consistent. If you've been like, binging and starving yourself and all kinds of stuff throughout the year, then that's not the thing to do. That's where I would stay cycling between number 2 and 3. I hope that's helping a little bit. So in the last video, I ended with how do we get out of this, right? So it's really it comes down to a cycling approach or a balancing approach with the higher starting point. The cycling approach I just touched on. The balancing approach I'm going to talk about in the next video, because I'm getting short here on time. I don't like to go above 15 minutes. We're at about 14:30 right now. So again, the cycling approach is just cycling how you eat and exercise, right, and having those in line. But I'm going to dive into specifics in a future video, so we're going to keep going with this, and I'll show you like how to set up days based on your schedule and really try and simplify this. But for today, I just want you to understand those 4 different categories there. Hope that helped.